Good evening, all. Here, this is Tim Dunn behind me, carrying some really equipment around. We're inside the hoarding, inside the Wonderlab area.
Got a sneak preview to show you. It's the Wonderlab at the National Railway Museum in York before it's open to the public. It's my favourite time of the day, this. The sun's coming in, the skylights, the engine's looking their best. Focus, come on, Don. Oh, look!
There's Tim telling a man that he has fantastic trousers, which I think is quite reasonable because they're very good trousers. We're in this is the Great Hall. This is the other side of the hoarding where all the noise has been happening. And finally, we have had a chance to have a little. It's been a press morning. We've had a chance to come in. This gentleman here, my very dear friend, Mr. Tim Dunn, is here. You've all been asking for him, and he's back. And the two of us are in person rather than over Teams or Skype or whatever it is we use these days.
I do sort of live in this building
yes.
of my life, so
yes.
I'm often quite here doing one thing or another.
Yes, the various shenanigans, plotting and scheming. We're going to keep this short. My cold opens are always too long, always short and sweet, and we're going to make our way into the. Skip behind. Wait, we'll do this. We'll do behind us because look, it says Wonderlab behind us. That's the back of Tim's head. Oh look, we're both here. We're both here. What's this? How's this going to come out in the edit? Who knows?
Welcome to Wonderlab Bramall Gallery. Now, just so you know, it's very important to note this actually. The Brammalls, who actually funded this very generously, the entire gallery. And I just can I give you some background to this whole thing?
Please do, yeah, absolutely. So, people want to know.
I am.
You're an informed guest on here. There's a reason you're in here because you do know much of the context of why this is all happening.
Well, yeah, I'm on the advisory board for the NRM, so therefore I'm involved in these things. So this whole Wonderland is kind of an idea. It was a science museum in London. It's to inspire young engineers. As you probably well know, this is the old workshop area where we used to repair some locomotives on a long haul basis, occasionally here and there. Not necessarily the best use of space. Very constrained space when you've got a very small space like NRM, and you've got to,
every metre squared is incredibly valuable, and everything that you sacrifice, you're losing out on other objects that you could be displaying.
The remit of the NRM is not to repair locomotives. Their remit is to interpret and keep our stuff for the next generation.
To tell the story of the railways for the next generation, yeah.
And I should know this off by heart, it's part of my contract. So this has been rebuilt and reinterpreted, and I can say now, it might not appear obvious at first, but the railway runs through this, literally and figuratively, and it's just, honestly, I think it's beautiful.
Well, we've just spent all morning in here, just being very excited and very happy, and we're going to tell you all about it, but first, this is very exciting. Don't know how this is going to come out in the edit, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to walk. Let's walk in here, and we're going to start the episode inside the boiler of a locomotive, because as we're walking behind. You can't see behind the Wonderlab. We're walking in. Tim and I are coming through. They're moving the shop, so the shop here is under construction. It looks really nice, by the way. It's really good. We're coming in. We're going to both go in this door, and then we're going to go out either door, either side. But we're going to start the episode in here, in this little space here, because look, it's a boiler, it's a steam boiler. Look, that's what this is. Look at this. Isn't it brilliant?
While he crackers on about boiler tubes, I want to show you what exists. Of course, this was the old, one part of the old depot, and of course you can still see that in the maintenance pits, they have been retained. This is obviously it's important to keep this stuff, because it's a sustainable project. So this is all sort of low impact materials, and it's intervention, it's efficient. But this whole thing is the entrance gallery, isn't it, to the whole museum? But this whole space is being used really for young children to learn about engineering, but also very cleverly and cunningly is being used to generate revenue, because it's a great place to put corporate events in as well.
Yes, very useful. That's right, Tim, before we run off, Tim, come here. We have to start the bloody show. We haven't started the bloody show yet. That's the cold open, everyone. That's the cold open. You've got some teases about what we're going to talk about. But first, we're going to together...
Rail Natter.
Welcome. You've already seen that. Oh, not
Rail Natter. It's
everyone,
about trains.
We're going to say... We're
what
going to welcome...
is this week? I'm Gareth Dennis.
Everyone, welcome to tonight's Rail Natter. You have to say the thing with the thing.
What, 225?
Oh, we're going to say... No, that's after. We'll say that after. Welcome to tonight's Rail Natter, that's what we're going to say.
I'm Tim Dunn.
And this is the secrets of the... No, that's different. That's another one.
Different museum.
That's a different museum. Yes, don't get those confused. Everyone, welcome
To rail matter.
To rail matter. Well, that's rail matter. There we go.
Trains.
As the Intercity 225 fades away, Tim and I are going to run apart and look at things. Which way? You go that. You go that way. I'll go this way.
Okay.
Let's do it. Right, we're doing it. Tim's over there doing some shenanigans. This is so. I want to just give you a feeling for. So you come in and there's this grand space. So that rotunda there, which is allows you some corporate event stuff, and you've got to think about this stuff because the reality is, as DCMS cuts funding more and more. Okay, they have put some money into this, and anyone who's watching this is official. Thank you, DCMS. Wonderful. But governments have been cutting culture funding for quite a while now. Culture is what everything is about. Stop cutting the funding of culture. That's why I do everything I do, is so that people can enjoy culture and think about, have a time to just enjoy, think about history. Anyway, I digress. We're talking about engineering. So, what's going on? You come into this one, and what's the first thing you see? You see this incredible orange monster welcoming you in frenetic energy, pointing in all directions. Tim's just going, what is over there? Look, it's Tim. What's going on? You come in and it's pointing in all directions, pointing out as some of the explainers do, which is really nice, pointing you, going, go that way and look at that thing, and that's why this bit of exhibit is. What's in here though? There are lots of little, well, they're not that little, they're quite large interactives, as they're called. They're interactives. What we're going to do is, so here's a box of cones. Now I wonder what this display explains, and it's the first one we arrive in, and it's the fundamentals of conicity. So I'm going to get down here. If I start this thing going, oh, there's some hunting. Oh my goodness, but it isn't going. There we go. It's making it. The little set of wheels that could. And so there we go. We've immediately, it's for anyone who's going, oh, it's just a play area for children. No, this was just a science exhibit about conicity, and I've just shown conicity. And what the kids can do is they can use cylinders, they can put the cones the other way, they can put the inverted cones, so you have like a little hook and show why that doesn't work. You can explain this is for the wheel rail interface right here. The fundamental reason that any of this works is right here, and it's the first thing you come across. Actually, the first thing you come across if you go through that door is a set of S&C, kind of nicely ground flat, so you can enjoy that. So I was already won over. In fact, Judith McNichol, the director of the museum, walked in and was pointing that out to me because she knows exactly how to make me like a space, which is to look at all the track stuff in it. So, shout out to the Brammells, the Liz and Terry Brammell Foundation for being major funders of this, and all the other funders. These are the people who have made this happen, supported this to actually happen. This is a fantastic open wide space. What's fun as part of this press event is that we came in and kids just roared through. When part of the way through the press event, several school classes came through and just flooded through and started playing with stuff. It's brilliant. And so for each of the interactives you come, so for example, we'll start with wheels and track. This one here, you've got a nice little explanation of what's going on, nice, really lovely kind of bit of illustration, just sort of explaining how to, instructive place so that people aren't lost, so kids can get an idea of what they need to do. Some kids will just run to it, but the good thing about modern museum design, and this is leading the way in terms of lots of other types of interpretation and education, is understanding how to deal with different types of the different ways people learn, dealing with neurodiversity at large. And so having a picture showing what people do is a really nice way to make sure that people who are perhaps intimidated by a complicated looking thing can come and play with it. But then underneath, you get this nice bit of interpretation that goes, this is clever engineering. These cleverly engineered wheels keep train rides smooth and safe, and some other stuff. And so all of them have this really nice interpretation. As Tim was saying, and might well still be saying, this is, the railway is absolutely absolutely runs through everything in here. All of this is about engineering. And you know what's fantastic? I think this is the best engineering interpretation space in the UK right now. Absolutely the best engineering interpretation space right the way across the UK, because all of this is about engineering. It's about railways, but it's about engineering. For example, this brilliant marble run is an exhibition about, it's an interactive about systems engineering. Tim is here. Tim, hello.
I've got an exciting update.
Oh, what is your exciting update?
I didn't press record at the start of it. Well, as you've just seen, I didn't press record at the start of this because I'm an idiot. I thought if it's on my screen, it's recording. It wasn't recording. So it was, as Gareth has pointed out, look at this. We've got this anti-room built out of, looks like a boiler tubes. Now, as we come in here, you can see that all of these exhibit interactives. I mean, Gareth can talk about this in the other thing, but on his video. But as you can see, all these exhibits are all arranged along the route of the old tracks, and that is because each of these interactives really is considered kind of like a bit of railway engineering or a small concept broken down that kids of any age can get involved in. They can't get hold of our locomotive, they couldn't get into the old workshop, but this breaks down bits of railway operation, and Gareth's now chasing it. What's he doing? I don't know what he's doing. I've got no idea what he's doing. Right, this is the route finder. So the route finder behind me, I don't want to get the staff in too much, but the route finder, as you can see, is all about how you can flick points and levers, being a signaller, whatever it is, and change the route and directions of trains. Now, modern trains are quite complex and difficult to maintain, so this actually uses vacuum tubes with little bits of, well, they're clever little bits of fabric that whiz around, and actually it's far more fun than a train set at great speed. So, down here we go. Again, talking about how things interact and how things work as a system, and now it is a system. Look at this. This is one of the big walls, the engineering reimagined, so you can touch things. The railway's a system, it's a process. People come together to make it work. It's all about explaining to kids that as a system, different parts of a network or systems, whether on rails or not, and some of this is on rails, link back to working together. That if one thing has an action that then knocks something else. But this one's my favourite bit. This is my favourite one. I'm going to flip this one round.
So, systems engineering, what were we on about? Oh yeah, Tim was causing chaos. Tim was causing chaos in here. So you get these lovely interpretation, these panels here, these interpretation boards that, again, this one, can you control the movements of the marble, talking about gravity and you know, and so, but this, you know, is dealing with the, you know, build, test, adapt. It's about engineering, but also what's good is, come in here, and there's a description of systems engineering. We have a systems engineering lesson off the second thing in here. Brilliant. Tracks, as you can see, from the old workshops to here. It's important to remember that this is about concepts. It's not about actual physical objects as part of the museum. It's about inspiring people with concepts about rail. The first thing you see when walking here is by noted railway enthusiast and artist Steve Messam. Boom! This rather extraordinary piece of art. Now, you might wonder what on earth this is all about. In his own words, this is it. As I said, it isn't an object gallery, so it isn't for historic stuff, but there is one historic object. It's this. It is an old table from Great Western Swindon work, used as the explainer table for all those incredible demonstrations of things and demonstrations of pyrotechnics and stuff and dynamic things and displays. They're going to happen here all day, every day. It's going to be brilliant. Honestly, this is a new way of looking at museums. This is a way of inspiring kids about railways, engineering and the future. It's a different way. You might not know it, but it's a new way of doing it, and it's a great way of doing it. going to run over here. So Tim's diving around over there. I'm running over here to go underneath. Actually, first thing I'm going to do is just... So we're going to run underneath. This is a line that I love, which is why I love this sculpture, which I'm stood under, Steve Messner's sculpture. This line here. The interpretation is brilliant here, by the way. We can find engineering in the most unexpected places. Look again at the world around you and see if you notice the sometimes hidden engineering that makes things work. Well, I'm inside Steve's... look, I'm inside the giant orange monster, which points in all directions. This thing is... Without this, the room would be lower. It would not quite feel like the space is filled. This helps fill the space, gives a bit of energy and a bit of excitement and engagement, and it's also just fun. It's just a fun, exciting, cool object. Also, as Tim, I think, was pointing out, the pit track. So all the pits have been retained, so the tracks are retained. The heritage of this... building heritage. So the heritage has been retained of this... the engineering heritage. The Steve Messner's sculpture sits on the kind of the crane road. The bridge is down there. There's a lot of machinery down here. There's a lot of snagging work going on. So there's a lot of builders and technicians going around kind of updating, fiddling with things to get them fettled and perfect. There's a lot of machinery that's going to still be retained. So the crane is still here. The crane, I can see the crane. Steve's sculpture, the big orange monster, self-supported by being filled with air, in a way, it enhances the built heritage of this space more arguably than the workshop before, because it encourages anyone, kids, adults, to look up into the space and see the size of it, to see the size of this, what is actually the oldest part of one of the oldest parts of the whole museum campus, actually. I'm purposefully ignoring the enormous machine behind me, this huge machine, because I'm going to continue. There's a very important meeting going on with the architects, and in fact there's basically everyone who created this, all the architects, and one of the associate curators and others are all behind next to one of the interactives, which is the air interactive, where you can play with aerodynamics and create flying things, and actually I'm going to really sneak my eye in. So it's about building, prototyping, testing. Again, all these concepts that are really fundamental and exciting. Here you can see, so I'm not going to show you this yet. I'm not going to show you that. I'm going to go around the outside first, and then Tim and I will reconvene in the machine.
So, with Gareth gone, pressing buttons and doing stuff, that meant I go and corner this bloke. He looks quite nervous. It was Jose Estevez de Matos. He is one of the partners of the design firm that designed Wonderlab in coordination with the NRM team.
We, de Matos Ryan, have been architects, exhibition designers, and lead consultants on the delivery of the gallery environment. And that's everything from considering within the original railway workshop and taking a very sustainable approach to architecture these days. This workshop had grown-up engineers working on railway vehicles, restoring them, maintaining them. This workshop and engineering playground workshop now maintains that approach, where we think of the exhibits as having rolled in on the various tracks, and they're sitting and lined up on the kits. And whereas now there is an exhibit, so for instance, the great machine. The great machine here, which has the scale and volume of a loco, occupies the space that a loco used to, and whereas in the past you had engineers, now you've got future engineers interacting collectively and individually on that as an exhibit, and likewise with the others. So the idea that these exhibits are taken over and have the character of railway fragments that future generations will be working with is key to the ethos of the gallery. How does one develop an experience? The intention is that each exhibit delivers specific learning, a specific learning outcome in terms of a specific engineering principle. That can be interpreted at many levels, depending on the age of the user, down to the parent or the adult, because it should be and is, or should be, as exciting for the 7 to 14-year-olds or the 21-year-olds. That shouldn't stop.
I love the sound bit. It's so tactile. It's so involving.
It is, and it appears very simple, but actually underlying it, there are so many aspects to do with how topography affects engineering, how engineering solutions overcome topography, how railways can only go up certain inclines, move beyond that, and you need to move into a tunnel or have a bridge, and how you so easily can change the topography to affect that is really exciting.
I've done some B-roll of this, and I in fact got some. Look, it's me. It's me over here, and Tim might come, and both of us will be in here, and we can see how warm we look on a screen. But it's about friction. So again, is this an entire exhibit about the permanent way? Maybe. But you can here, look. Wood. Table. In fact, let's get the rubber one. I do this. If I rub. Oh, I'm doing it. And there's a hot bit on the table. There's a hot bit where I was rubbing the table. See, there we are. What's also fun is if I do this. Oh, it takes a bit of effort. There we go. It's quite a big flywheel. Which you can see there's no friction. If I then do this. There we go. I applied the brake. I've made the wheel hot, and you can see the circle where the wheel is hot, and you can see my warm head. It's me, and I'm warm. The phone's very warm as well. Anyway. Tim is over on the other side. Oh, he's at the sand. I'm running over. Tim, I'm coming to you. I'm running over to Tim because Tim is creating. Tim, what?
I've broken it.
Well, you broke it. I think you've created a tunnel, and what's fun is that the cars stop if they can't get through, which I quite like. This is a sand pit with a projected world upon it. Oh, the acoustic's quite fun here. And look, Tim is creating a. You seem to have buried a train.
Well, yeah, so I've known about this for about 2 years, and I've not been allowed to talk about this for 2 years. Because, so after 2 years, I want to show you, I've just broken it.
You haven't broken it. Look,
Look.
Oh, that's because all the sand is over on the hill.
There you go. Right. I fixed it. There, I fixed it.
Oh, look, it's like a verdant meadow. It's quite difficult to explain what's going on here. Basically, you have a sand pit, and there's a thing above that detects the height of the sand, and therefore creates elevations and creates terrain. So it procedurally generates the terrain and the tracks. Oh, there's a buffer stop. Rate my buffers. There you go. And you can create the so look, I've created a nice flat meadow here, and the railway runs uninterrupted.
Make a bridge.
It's brilliant. The seasons change. I now have a hand covered in sand, and I'm trying to film with a hand in sand.
You've got 4 minutes to go. Right, so there's a problem here.
Let's run. I'm going this way. Tim and I are going to reconvene at the big machine. You get to do this. You get to do the aerodynamics.
So it's been 2 years this, I've known about this for. It's so clever. It's an interactive model railway in a sandpit. Look at this, right? So it's projected from up there onto here. And look, level crossing, great. It all seems really obvious, right? It seems really obvious. Trains whizzing around. But then there's a train that's stopped, you see, because there's a flood. So you need to build it up so there's no flood. Right, now I can go. Here comes another one, right sound. If I put a big mountain in the way, a tunnel appears. Oh, that's just brilliant. It's no lie to say I have watched the very top of Network Rail. Get excited about this. Wouldn't it be nice if every station in the country had one of these? Just an idea. kids play at. Look at this, wonderful. So hang on, look, hang on. So trains are stopped. There you go. Who needs a train set when you've got this?
Seen friction. Tim has done some footage of this wonderful thing here, which is, if I run, it is a valley through which you can build structures using these blocks here, these cheese-looking blocks. You can use these to create bridges, and again, these lovely totems that span, that explain what you're doing. Actually, there's a lovely view of the whole gallery here behind us. Get an idea of the scale and the chaos. This machine here, the big machine is, well, let's just say when the kids came through and they were playing on it, they absolutely loved it. There's also this big demonstration space here. You got the big tellies that kind of with cameras focused in. There's above cameras showing things. So, for example, if I do, you can see here the camera can see there's the demonstration piece there. So I can move it around. That was me moving my hands there. Look, it's my hands that. Oh, there it is. And the demonstration table happens to be an enormous metal workbench from the GWR's Swindon Works. It was from 1878. And I had a chat with Judith, if I get down here. I had a chat with Judith. She admitted to me she strongly insisted that this is in here. She has built a fantastic team to create this, and it really reassures me about Vision 2025. It really does. It's like, if this is what it's going to be like, then it's good. It's a vindication of the work that's been put in, and a lot of the mud that's been slung around, I think, is misplaced, because this space is fantastic. GWR Works Swindon Workbench, Judith admitted, I'm going to be kind to her and say it's one of her favourite objects, but she adores this object, and I have to say I fully understand why, because look at this thing. If I come down here and you look at all these scratches and dents, every single scratch and dent, every single one of these little marks is some element, some piece of a locomotive since 1878. How long has this workbench been in use? How many years was it in use? Potentially it was in use for like 50, 60 years. Having stuff hammered on it, bashed on it, machined on it, and then going into steam locomotives on the GWR. Just a really, and potentially into the diesel era. I don't know the heritage of this object. I'd love to know exactly what its legacy is, but this thing is very cool. And the fact that it's right it just frames the whole, as so many objects, it's just perfectly placed. It just absolutely frames the object of this heritage object, but actually quite a contemporary looking object as well. Like lots of people didn't notice that it was actually an old piece. Here to demonstrate it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Now this is cool. Look, it's a wind tunnel tester thing. Right, hang on. That's Mallard. Hang on. Right, Flying Scotsman. Let's try Flying Scotsman. Is that going to work? And look at that. Can you see that? You really can't see it in this light. But it shows very graphically exactly how it works. Right, but the really cool bit, right, is when you want to change it. Let's go to say Flying Scotsman. I love this bit. Look, oh my, hang on. There goes Ballard, and here comes Flying Scotsman. Or thereabouts. And then we get to watch how look, there's the smoke. Go on, smoke, go on. Lovely. And you can see how rubbish the streamlining was. And what's so lovely about this, of course, is that these models are based on ones actually in the collection we've got in the Science Museum group.
Trainer team will be on the gallery, so they're all trained as part of the learning team, and they'll be able to learn things from the collection.
There's some things about angles. So there's There's the hockey table here which talks about angles, and it allows you to then talk about, we use mass every day. It's a mass thing. So how do you get mass in and get kids interested in mass? Well, you get them to play air hockey. 3-way air hockey is how you do that. I'm going to take a brief moment while Tim is filming the brilliant Aerodynamics streamlining aerodynamic machine. It's so good. Tim, look how happy he is. It's so good. So, this space is through and through about railways. It's about engineering, but there's a lot of really abstract, fun stuff. It's not oversimplified. I think that's a really key thing. That sometimes you can imagine that a gallery like this, an area like this, a Wonderlab, could oversimplify things. Could be, it's a bit like, it's all very oversimplified. That's the sound of them doing snagging works around us. There are builders all around. No, it's not oversimplified. The interpretation can be, so the young kid, whether it's me bringing the little one in and her just going, oh, or whether it is, toddlers running around and just enjoying the space, or whether it's it's designed for 7 to 14-year-olds. So if you've got a 7-year-old, they're going to just kind of run up to the thing immediately and play with it.
How does the air feel when you make a different shape?
If you have a 14-year-old, they're going to be reading the interpretation. They're going to be understanding the interpretation. They're going to be... sorry, I'm just walking up here to tactically appear while Tim aerates himself. There's Tim.
Okay, so I'm now in a wind tunnel.
What was that? What are you saying?
I can't hear you.
What's this? What?
You could say it's the museum's biggest fan. It's one of the railway fans, that one.
Anyway, while Tim is continuing his tour, which I'm going to be cutting back and forth from, as we giddily run around and express how excited we are about this space. The 14-year-olds pick up, so the explainers are really good. So the explainers are in here because it's a child-focused space. There'll be the explainers. There's a good number of explainers in here at any given moment. Oh, look, it's me and Tim on the heat thing. Look, the heat thing. You can see Tim. Tim just disappeared off the end. Good explainers everywhere. Explainers are the staff who are around. So they're trained. They understand all the interactives in the exhibits, but they also crucially understand the context within which they sit in the museum. So they can point people towards. As the big sculpture is, they can go, so you found that interesting, did you, 14-year-old? Actually, if you go and look at that object, if you go and look at Mallard, you can see the streamlining action. If you go and look at Coronation, you can see the streamlining action, though they weren't actually that streamlined. And go and look at this object in the warehouse, the North Shed, where you can open the store, where you can explore some of the mechanical side of things. That we've got some go and have a look at the APT and understand tilting train. There are things that point you in the different directions. Systems engineering stuff. It's brilliant. And right, Tim is looking into Play Revolution.
Cabinet of Play.
The cabin of play. The box of fun.
All the adults, just so you know, we shouldn't be in here now.
Anyway, while Tim is continuing his tour, which I'm going to be cutting back and forth.
So again, there's stuff here to do with oil and brakes and balance. The Great Machine, which incidentally has been sponsored, I believe, by the Royal Commission for the 1851. It still exists in education terms, and they sponsored all that, and that's showing how well that works. It's rather lovely. Over here, more hands-on stuff, which is rather cool. Building blocks, how to build, again, railway motifs. I mean, look at this, look. Some people are going to be snide about this makeup. Some people are going to be saying things like, oh, what is that? It's all for kids. You all know, if you're watching this, what this is. You recognise where these bits have come from. You know where they've come from. Bits of station, bits of design, just bits of chunks of things. Railway motifs, stuff that make us think of the railway. And it's all here. And kids can play and experiment with it. I noticed that they've demolished the bridge that I'll put a picture of. I made the best bridge earlier. Now Pippa Hale has designed something in here.
Tim is looking into
which... Can we have a play?
The cabin of play, the
Right.
box of fun.
All the adults, just so you know, we shouldn't be in here now. We were supposed to leave here.
We're allowed. We're like basically we're not allowed to be in here now. All the press people have gone, and basically the builders are in, and we're just like, it's fine. They're very kind and allowing us to be in here while this work goes on, because we ended up taking ages to film, and there's lots of mutes and all sorts going around. But we're staying very safe. We're avoiding getting in their way. For me, it's that kids can come here and engage, but also it's for the space here used to be very exclusive. It used to be like a bit. If you don't know anything about railways, then this space used to be a bit not really. If you're a railway, whereas this space, if you like railways, this space will engage you. But if you don't like railways, if you're not familiar with science, with engineering, if you're not comfortable with, or if the conventional ways that science, engineering, maths are maybe taught, then this allows you to explore and understand and engage with those ideas, concepts. It allows you to play. And learning through play, as Tim and I know, they're doing some work. As Tim and I know, learning through play is the best way to learn. Which is, as I'm going to go in and find Tim, running around in his socks, playing with these blocks, just diving around. It's the architecture that Tim built. Oh, he's going to do better than that. He is.
I might be here sometime, just so you know.
So what I'm going to do is leave Tim to his creative thoughts, and I'm going to go over this way and talk a little bit about some of the exhibition space that they've got here. So, actually, there's another thing I'm going to talk about. I had a chat with Judith about this to just confirm. Obviously, it's a well-loved space. The balcony along here is a well-loved space, and the reality is that they are not going to rush into reusing that space. They're going to use it for temporary, it's going to be, it's a bit in limbo. They're going to use it for temporary exhibitions. They might use it for just generally as a space that they can use temporarily. One of the challenges is that you now have a room full of kids, that you don't want to necessarily just have a bunch of balconies overlooking that without being careful about how you manage that space and what you put in there. So there's clearly some thought that needs to be put into it. And it's kind of phase 2, so beyond Vision 2025, when the Great Hall starts looking at what the future is going to be in the Great Hall, that space will start. So for example, they need to put another lift in to get people up to that space. For it to be an acceptable gallery space, you can't really have one lift, you need 2 lifts in case one lift breaks. Same as in stations, funnily enough. One lift is not enough. So there's quite a lot of thought to go into it. I want to talk about this thing. This thing. What is it? What is the black gloop? There's this gloopy stuff, and if I do that, it's all sticking up to the... What is it? Well, if we go over here, we can find out. It's magnetic liquid. It's more abstract, but it's talking about the fact that NASA engineers invented this to help fuel systems work, and it's asking, how could the railways make use of such a fluid? Probably. There's a thing that I don't know if Tim actually talked about, but I'm going to drag him over here to play with it, is that... Look, what's this? I just pressed a wooden wall. Sound. I press that. Oh, stuff's going on there. I press this. And then this. Then you have to press the stuff in order. And then I press this. And then these. And then this. And then this one again. And then this one. There's all sorts of stuff going on. It's just a plywood wall. Where's the train? Well, anyway, well, apparently it explodes magically if you get one of the things in here is lots of team play. It's not just individual play. There's lots of team play stuff in here. Lots of stuff that requires you to do team play, which is really nice. So, what was I waffling on about? So there's also the show space. So the show space here is going to have planned. It's going to have kind of planned exhibits, things that people can come and watch, shows people can have a sit down. Because the reality is, for a museum, you want to have that difference in dynamic. You don't just want, for a national museum, it's not just a collection of bits. It needs to have dynamism. It's got to have explanation shows, whether that's science explanations, engineering explanations, or history explanations. Is a show space where I can hire it and do a future live rail natter? Maybe. We'll see. It's fun to think about in the future. Is Tim still in here? Should we check on Tim? Should we check on dear? I'm gonna check on dear Mr. Tim Dunn. Should we just? Is here? There's certainly an object appearing in there that Tim is working on. Hello.
Hello, I'm Tim Dunn. The Tim alarm's going off.
With his recording cable hanging off, and this is the Tim that I love. Just full of energy and chaos, and also creating things.
It's not chaos, it's chaos.
It's chaos, but it's creative chaos. He's very happy. I'm quite pleased, but what? Well, I'm curious. I'm going to leave Tim again. Do you believe you're halfway through the constructive process? Oh, he's almost finished. Oh, let's wait until he's finished then.
Can't tell what it is yet.
No, you can't make that reference anymore, Tim.
Oh,
Particularly the kids' play area.
good point, well made.
What is it?
I mean, come on. Isn't it? Come on.
Oh, it's a. You've made a train. It's made an 08 shunter.
Well done.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh, that's quite good. I'll give you that because it's got the stripy bit at the front.
I know.
He's made an 08 shunter, everyone.
Well done, Tim.
Well done, everyone say well, and it's 060. Very good. No, there's another big one there. You can use that big one.
No, what? No, that's too big.
Oh, it's too big. Oh, I see. There are a lot. This is quite good because it's showing how many pieces there are. There are like 100 pieces here. There we are.
That'll have to do. It's
Ta-da!
It's the worst thing I've ever made. Hang on.
You can come and play with your children here too.
Not to be moved.
Oh, it's the not to. Yeah, there we are. Oh, which is a good point. So that literally will be a reference to a clearance board because all of these objects they refer to different things that different things that Pippa went through in the archives. I think in the interview we had with Pippa, she talked about this. But these will be these are a direct reference to limited clearance plates. Oh, hello. I didn't realise.
That was brilliant. Look at all this. You can build your own railway worlds. And
Build anything.
you can build everything. Something like, oh, it's facile, it's childish. Yes, it is childish, it is not facile. It is real. This is rooted in reality, it is rooted in archives, and it brings our railway past to life.
And also, where else do kids have play space like this? Anywhere to unleash their creativity? Nowhere.
I've just built a 15-inch gauge scale class 08.
Yes.
Thoughts close like railway, here I come.
You might wonder why I'm inside a small box. That's because I'm inside the exploration space that formerly, or about an hour ago, was full of children. But this is a really cool exhibition space I want to talk to you about. That's right. In fact, Pippa Hale, the creator of this space, is down here laughing at me because there we are. We're going to have a chat with Pippa in about a minute. Where explain what I'm doing in here, why I'm in this small enclosed space with my head pressed against it. I need to talk about Play Revolution, which is an art installation, but also, critically, a really fun. Oh, they need to sweep the boots. A really fun part of the whole, and a lot of the kids spent a lot of time in here because it's a huge foam block play area where you can build and assemble anything you can imagine. At scale, and there's huge blocks, all spread out. I'm going to cut away now to chat to Pippa and Rose. Rose lead curator of this of the Bramwell Gallery of Wonderlab, and Pippa Hale, who is the artist who created this. Go. Yeah, come. So
Hang on, if you're going to record it, do you not want to record it in there?
Yeah, why would you hear it? It's exactly that. Come on, what am I doing? I took my shoes off for this, and I stood next to the bit with. This is all staying in because this is how my podcast works. This is how I do. This is how it rolls. We've just assembled. Look at this. Isn't it brilliant? This is what the inside of my mind looks like.
I'm glad I'm in the middle of your mind.
Okay, it's a very dangerous place. Right, I'm here with Pippa and Rose, who are responsible for. Well, they're responsible for this space, but Rose is also responsible for everything out there as well. I mean, there's a lot of people who are responsible for it. I'm sure the standard thing you say. And to be honest, what's been really nice is I've hopefully captured here, speaking to everyone who's been involved in this. Everyone's brilliant and cares about it so much, and that's why it's so brilliant. But I wanted to speak about this space particularly because this space is particularly wow. I love it. Not only because it's like all my memories, I'm in my socks, because it's...
My socks are cool.
Yeah, good socks. There's some good sock action going on. Socks, and disappointing. Rose, why is this space here? Why was this part of Wonderland? What made you need to do this and then develop the brief to then hand to Pippa? Tell us a little bit about the story.
So, a couple of years ago, I visited Baltic in Gateshead, and I saw Pippa's previous work, Play Rebellion, and basically I was obviously in the mindset of thinking what was going to come into this gallery, how are we going to create interactive experiences that help people to think like engineers. And I went in there and I saw this piece of Pippa's work, which wasn't developed from that route, but actually is basically, to me, people were thinking like engineers in there. They were building with large blocks, they were figuring out how to make a slide, realising it was unstable and not safe, and changing it and doing something different. So to me, they were all thinking like engineers. So I thought, this kind of needs to be in the gallery. We're looking for experiences where it's memorable, it's fun, it's playful, and I kind of was really keen that we get something that's quite a bold statement. So then I chatted to Judith and said, I really feel like this could be the right thing, and she was totally on board with it straight away.
And I mean, it is all of those things. I mean, we're going to talk about the big and the little blocks and neurodiversity momentarily, but first, Pippa, so when did you first get asked then? When did Rose first approach you?
Oh gosh, now you're going back into the mists of time.
The annals of time.
I think what was really exciting for me about this project was, as Rose said, that I'd already done a sort of first iteration of the project at Baltic, but how to take that on to the next level. So what was great about being invited to work at the Railway Museum was I got to go and play in their archives and collections, of which they are extensive, and there's a lot of stuff. So it was almost, how do you sort of channel all of that into some very specific shapes. So the room and the foam blocks that are here, all the shapes, all the colours are inspired by the railways.
Yeah, because there's little architectural detail. Tim's dashing around. Tim and I are we haven't done it yet, although possibly it's been in the episode now. Sorry, I don't know how this comes out in the edit. We're going to run around, and Tim, as with his various loves of architecture, there's lots of little architectural elements in all these little bits, and large bits. But also for me as an engineer, all of these are geometric. They all fit in amongst each other. They can all be piled on. Some of them can be locked into each other. You can assemble all manner of things here. It's visually engaging with the colours. The colours are brilliant. One of the things I was describing is that this is what the inside of my mind looks like, but also this is what stepping into my CAD designs look like. Like when I design a railway, I don't do so with like shape. It's not like Transport Fever 2 where you put down a track and it looks like a track. It's just arbitrary lines whizzing around with blocks and objects, and it's completely arbitrary. And it kind of looks like this. It's a black void with colours and stuff, and all these sort of things, the design limitations I have to think of in my head, that some of them are non-physical. So having all those in my head is a bit like this. So it's just a really cool space. I think
your head is obviously a cool, fun space.
It's ADHD. It's ADHD. So for me, this is a cool way to engage kids into that way of thinking, like the abstract way of problem solving. Is actually problem solving is not all here is build. I love the bridge thing out there. The little bridge building contours out there. They're great. There's quite a specific problem. You can see the thing. Whereas a lot of problem solving is more like this. It's more abstract. It's more. And actually, all of it is, I don't even know what the problem is. I need to work out what the problem is before I can even determine to solve it. And that's what imagination and play like that is for. Anyway, I've waffled a lot.
I think for me as well, it's about the scale of what's here, because it's very rare that you get an opportunity to mould your environment.
Yeah.
It's very easy to have tabletop stuff or stuff that's on a smaller scale, but what we wanted to do here was to create an environment that kids have the opportunity to shape themselves.
And these sorts of play areas, when they do exist, obviously not to this level of kind of quality, but they often have less stuff. There's like 6 blocks.
Well, it's
and
usually
that's
always
it.
quite fixed down.
Yeah, and it's like, like soft play things with big blocks can be, or perhaps, just there's less play. Whereas there are so many blocks here. We're surrounded by blocks. There's so much.
I need to add up how many there are, actually. I don't know how many there are.
There's dozens and dozens of different shapes, blocks, big, small. It's fantastic.
And the great thing about it as well is that you've got to collaborate to move some of these blocks, especially if you're a younger child. You have to work together.
There has to be. You're creating that teamwork. What's very nice is, so very briefly to talk about university, this is a pretty wild space and potentially overwhelming for people who have that kind of sensory overload. What's lovely is that there's also a table outside with all the same blocks, but scaled down to maybe 1/8.
You're asking me all statistical questions now. Either which
They're
way,
smaller.
they interact with the big shapes. They're mini versions, but they do interact. They all fit together with the big shapes as well.
And so there's a table, so it's a more calm space, kind of potentially a less intense environment for younger kids who maybe want that quieter space. But also, everyone might be interested in a small. I think you probably get people playing with both because there's a wiggle table as well. There's a little wiggle thing, so you can build your building and watch it get wiggled to bits.
Can you build a stable structure?
Exactly, which is ultimately the question of all infrastructure engineers. Can we build a thing that stays put? We could chat for hours and hours about this because I'd love to explore the process that you went through to actually prototype this stuff. And maybe a word or two on the prototyping. Well, what did you just go foam, I guess, and start painting things, or what was the process that you went through to kind of prototype? Do you have a model? Do you have a miniature version of this?
I do have a miniature version of this in the studio, and I find it very difficult to model things in CAD, so I like to make them in 3D.
Yeah.
So there is some drawing to start off with, but actually it's about making stuff, because until you can sort of handle that stuff and see how it all fits together, see how the colours and the shapes interlock and fit together, I find that really difficult. So I have to make it in 3D first.
Yeah. And it's just it's brilliant. I'm gonna, partly because my arm's going to fall off. I should always try. I do have a tripod. It's at home. I thought, I won't need a tripod. I'm not going to do any sit down interviews. I'm going to be running around the whole time. And then actually, no, I was like, no, I need to chat. I need to speak to people about how cool this is. I'm going to end it there and say to both of you, this bit's brilliant, and I'm looking forward to seeing. Well, I've already seen an army of children run through here and create things, and it brought a tear to my eye. I saw a child's head pop out of the hole that I was in a minute ago, which is I was a bit like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. The children immediately found the places they could explore. Rose, the whole of Wonderlab, the whole of the gallery is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I said this before. I had echoing some of the annoying criticism that's come from some of the railway press, like all this, all that, and I was like, oh, I hope it proves them wrong. I hope this, and I came in and was just blown away. It's just really, really joyous. And I say the whole thing is like the inside of my brain. It's brilliant. Fantastic. I love it. There's so many fun things to do. And I think kids will be coming back to this over and over again as they get older and engage with it on a different level as they get older and learn more things. Yeah, and that's really what we hope to do. I mean, the whole team who's worked on it, it's all about what does it do for 7 to 14-year-olds and their families, and how does it make them see the world a little bit differently? And for people who perhaps this previously in its previous guise, this was an exclusive space, and by which I mean it excluded people. It was like you can be in here and if you enjoy that sort of thing, then great. But actually, a lot of the population are like, well, I don't know what I'm looking at here. I don't really understand what this space is telling me. Whereas now they can be engaged. People who perhaps don't find conventional ways of engaging with maths and science and engineering can be engaged by it here. Also, there's loads of practical things to demonstrate fundamental railway stuff, like the P-wave thing with the connecticity. It's brilliant. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling.
I think the other thing is that galleries and museums are really sort of pushing the way forward on this. So many of our experiences are mediated by screens these days. But actually, there is a real desire from the public to come into physical spaces and to experience things in real life. And I think part of the reason we did sort of Play Revolution was about the social aspect of things as well, about how you work together as a team. It's not just about doing something on your own. So I think there is a real demand that is definitely met by Wonderland.
Team understanding team building and team working is something that's very difficult to do at a younger age, because it's quite difficult to get the kids to sit around and develop. Like this play is the best way to do that. Okay, you can do when you get to university, you find you do a team exercise, but for younger kids play is the way for them to understand
Yeah,
teams.
it's negotiating and collaborating. The challenges and the bits that you're enjoying, but then the bits that you find hard, you have to work your way through it, don't you?
Yeah, and the big tower that you build that then half falls over, and then you have to collect all the bits and rebuild it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Both of you, thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely to chat.
Nice to meet you.
Right.
And the miniature version is down here. They're doing some snagging on it. But the miniature version is Tim and I built a bridge earlier. And Tim will send me his video that he took.
I didn't take a do the bridge, sadly. I took a picture of it.
Took a picture. Send me the picture, which I'll make.
They
On
are
the screen
actually
now.
working on the machines. Very little machine.
Oh, we're not going to run it, but we're going
I
to.
see.
I mean, we can, but they are currently working on it. There's lots of snagging going on to make sure everything's perfectly tuned. Because there's nothing that does testing to destruction than a horde of hundreds and hundreds of children. There's no more rigorous a testing process than that. So this is the big machine. Tim, can you tell us? So you've sort of followed the story of the development of this, and indeed inputted it in various ways.
In fact, it's nothing to do with me. None of it's anything to do with me.
He's heard about the story. You'll be reassured that he has had nothing to do with its construction or development.
But he's recorded things. Yes,
Yeah.
good. Unlike me earlier. If you look at it from the side, you can explain to people from the side it's like a locomotive. And there's smoke going up and down. Look, if you start dropping, everything starts down here, and you have different ways of getting all these kind of marbles effectively up the top. You've got ways of lifting up, making mechanisms, and it's quite lovely.
And it works, and whilst you can make it work as an individual, it works best if the more people there are doing it, the more fun they'll have, because the more balls start flying around in the thing. And it's showing, it's got that feeling. By the way, for people, this isn't a Hyperloopy thing. No, it's just tracks in 3D to engage children. It's not the vacuum tubes. You might be able to have
it's all about Hyperloop.
No, this is just about tracks flying around, but it's about teamwork. It's about kids engaging teamwork, all sorts of fun stuff. It's got this kind of like sketch style. I love it. It's just everything's got. There's a really nice visual language for everything in here. It's very loud. Now what you have to do is spin this.
Use the manual lever bit.
Oh,
You're not tired enough already.
I think I might have made it fall out there. Man.
Let's just make it a jet. This is my favourite one.
Oh yeah, this is good.
Sometime.
Oh my goodness. Yes. See, if you don't, without teamwork, it doesn't work very well. Oh, these are quite nice. I've not picked up one of these yet. They're quite nice rubber balls.
I'm not through stage 2. It's probably.
Yeah.
You know, I could go on.
You get the point. It goes up to the top.
Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it?
It's up. The ball's in the hole. Here it comes. There we go.
Thump. You did all that just for that?
I did all that for that. But the thing is, there's also switches and things that you can play with. So there's bits that if you come up here, and there's a thing that that control is over there somewhere, and there's ropes here, and there's ropes up there, and there's the thing, and they all go all over the place. It's brilliant. It's very good. We like it very much. The balls bump into each other, and so when a ball goes through there, it will switch that thing to go the other way. So the balls don't always take the same route. It's very important, Tim. The balls do not always take the same route.
They certainly don't. Sometimes balls go into the hole.
That's exactly what you want to happen. Yeah, look at it. It's brilliant. There's all these switches and mechanisms, and it's the sort of thing that engages people who aren't necessarily interested, who don't think that they're interested in trains. They come in here, they go, "Oh, I'm not interested in trains, but this looks like a fun play thing, and my mum told me that we're coming here." And then you go out, and then they're like, "Oh, that was fun. Let's have a look at some trains." That's to all intents and purposes, that's kind of what it's about.
Do you remember W. Heath Robinson?
Yes. Yes,
it's Heath Robinson made real. It's amazing. It's brilliant.
It's very good. So, there's a section of bridge rail about to go over our heads. I mean, it looks like literal bridge rail. Yeah, it's the great machine. And here it is. It's talking about the fact that without all of their small parts, machines wouldn't work efficiently or at all. What might happen if a great machine such as a locomotive was missing one of its many parts? It's making this point. Look at this. It's for all the nerds to Class 43 dismantled and showing all the bits and pieces and behind. Anyway.
The team is rightly proud of this.
And
if you're watching this and thinking it's nothing to do with railways, you're wrong.
Fundamentally,
it is the most incredibly brilliant, clever thing. And also, what we haven't mentioned is that all the interpreters and engagers who work on this, explainers, they then start referencing all the stuff out there. So they tell you where you can find these concepts out there in collection objects. They say which locomotive you can find that on, or this. So actually, this is a way into railways that we've never explored before. And all the testing of hundreds of children and families proves it works.
It's the fact that they engage the explainers are brilliant. They're engaging the children at different levels. So the small children, they help them just have the play. The older children, they point them into that. You might find that interesting. You might find that interesting. They understand the different key stages children are at, so they understand how to engage them, where their curriculum's at, so how to actually tap into their school curriculum to then make them go and look at trains, and engage with railways.
All I'd say is if you think this isn't how museums should be, museums have moved on. And I ask you to just open your mind up a little bit and think there are other ways of doing things, and this is a new way of doing it, and from what I've seen, it's beautiful.
Tim, we've run around, you filmed hopefully some stuff to bump my running time, because I've been filming for about half an hour. This will edit down to about 20 minutes. So
I've recorded a few bits of me going back on myself because I forgot to press record the first time round.
It's because the button's always red whether it's recording or not.
I know.
Steve Apple, what are you doing?
Thank you for letting me be part. The Tim Dunn alarm's going off again.
Is that your ankle tag?
A certain chairman at that rail did once say, watch that Dunn when he leaves that museum. Check down his trousers, he's got maps rolled up. I was accused by someone very senior of trying to steal frequently. I have only ever, I've always given them back. I just want to say, I've always given them back.
Oh, on that bombshell. Everyone, for those in audio only form, thank you for listening. The usual plugs.
Yes, patreon.com/Gareth Ennis for the patron. Thanks to all my supporters. GarethEnnis.co.uk/merch for the merchandise. PayPal.me/Gareth Ennis for the loose change and abuse machine, and GarethEnnis.co.uk/Discord for the Discord server where the chat, hello everyone in the chat, will continue unabated. Another little thing, we currently have 8,685 subscribers on YouTube and 159 patron supporters. I would quite like to push that up to 10,000 YouTube subscribers and 200 patron supporters. I don't know when, but hopefully we can manage that maybe by the end of the year. Who knows? I'm talking very radio voice because it's quite late at night and I don't want my voice to carry. How many do we have to push to reach that target? 1,315 YouTube subscribers. We can do that. Come on, everyone. And 41 patron supporters. That might be more of a push, but aim for the stars, land on the moon. In any case, back to me and Tim's shenanigans for 2.5 seconds.
Next week's episode, future Gareth, tell us what next week's episode is going to be. I don't know.
I can inform you because past Gareth, Dr. Alex Chapman is joining us to talk about why the UK aviation industry is in steep decline and a load of other incredibly interesting, fascinating and frankly revolutionary ideas about the economic value or otherwise of aviation in the UK. Absolutely unmissable, honestly. It's rail net of gold. Back to you in the enormous studio, past Gareth and Tim.
Thank you.
Secrets of the London. No.
Everyone's been watching Secrets.
It turns out they have been actually.
Oh, it kept trending on Twitter. Like actually trending on Twitter proper. Should be very proud.
A team effort.
It's a team effort, yeah, absolutely. Very, very much a team effort. It definitely is a team effort. That's not a trite point. Anyway, we digress. Tim, thank you so much for joining us and running around in here. This is God knows what this is going to end up looking like in the edit. It always ends up working. As long as you send me this stuff. Chaos.
I love
everyone. We're going to Tim and I are going to say thanks for watching. Hello, everyone in the chat. We're going to say cheerio.
Cheerio. Goodbye, 225 or something. Peace or something. Goodbye. Train, rail natter, rail natter, rail. tonight on Secrets of the London Underground. I'm in the wrong museum.
Thank you so much. That's marvellous.
Cool.
I
It did look like you literally chose your socks for today, didn't it?
Patreon.com/Gareth the plug why I'm going to record this in post. Next week's episode, we so this.
Hello. Oh yeah. Hello.
I just this place was so designers just disappeared in my head. It was brilliant fun.
I've been locked into this room, and let's go and see it. Can I come to here? I love those trousers.
There's some fabulous trousers behind this. There's our cold open, in fact.
Oh no! It's Ernest Marples, the former Transport Minister, and he's called time on the show. Thanks for watching this Real NASA special with Gareth and Tim. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, time for the pub.